All right. Good morning. Good morning. How are you doing? You guys ready to do some Forex after these holidays? Hope you're not too fat. Hope Santa Claus was kind. Let's get going, huh? So, good morning, currency traders. Welcome to Forex.Today. Let me remind you that trading Forex is risky, not appropriate for everyone. Your past performance, good or bad, is not necessarily indicative of future results. So please stay small, stay humble, focus on the long term, and never risk money you cannot afford to lose. Hello, my name is Wayne. I'm a currency trader. Been trading for it seems like forever, at least forever in the sense of retail Forex trading. We do these strategy sessions every day, 7:30 in the morning, Monday through Thursday here at Forex.Today, and every Friday at FX Street. TradersWay is a wonderful little ECN that gives you direct access to the interbanking system as a currency trader, but also energies, metals, indices, all these wonderful things. To attend these sessions live, just go to Forex.Today or subscribe on YouTube. And take advantage of all the analysis that's provided by our team. Lots of trading ideas shared with you. Just imagine a team works for you 24 hours a day watching the markets all around the world and then reporting back to you. And that's free. So you'd be a fool not to use it. Don't be a fool. Your mother would be very disappointed. So what would you like me to cover today? What's on your mind? We just finished the holidays. We got a short week going into the end of the year. You have any concerns? Are you in 100 trades? Are you looking for new trades? What's going on? Pound CAD, CAD crosses. Yeah, we can do that. So on Forex.Today, right there on the homepage, you have the last webinar that I did. USD Swissy, USD Yen, Euro USD, Pound USD, right off the bat. Boom, 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 boom. The four horsemen. Well, one of the things we could do today is the calendar. Let's review the calendar and see if there's anything on the charts that we should be worried about for the week. Let me get my drawing tool. Un momento, por favor. Some Aussie, some CAD, Pound and CAD, CAD crosses. Everyone's got CAD on their mind. Well, one thing that affects CAD is Chinese data because of global macroeconomics. Cool. So we got that coming in here. You know what? Let me filter this though. Show filter. Let's do 2 and 3 stars only. Okay, good. Okay. So trade balance, it's important. I believe it's a good thing to have a big number, even though it's a big negative number. What we're looking at is exports, really, and imports. And when Americans are rich relative to foreigners, they spend their money overseas because you can just get more for your money. Should make sense, right? So we export our money and we import goods. And so a negative number actually means Americans are rich and they're sending more and more money overseas, which if you want like China to stabilize, a big trade deficit is probably a good thing. Okay. Also means the dollar's strong relative to foreigners. Because if the dollar was weak, foreign goods would be expensive relative to local goods. You see what I mean? So the bigger the negative, the worse the news, the better things are, I think. Anyways, so a little bit of trade balance. This is used more for academic purposes. I don't think it will give you a trade, but looking at trend in trade balance is important. Consumer confidence, okay, fine. Spanish, whatever, it doesn't matter. Pending home sales in the United States, all right. We want to see, we want to see that on trend. Chicago PMI, again, not huge numbers. Do we want to see something below 50? No, of course not. And that's it. So there's the week. Not too bad. Coffee's better this morning. All right. Yeah, so that's that. And commitment of traders report. I'm not entirely sure the data is new and updated. The 14th. No, see. Just because the data is probably not even released due to the holidays. So there's going to be no real change there. So that's that. No real news on the calendar this week. Nothing to be worried about. There's no real there's no new news as far as COT is concerned. So we don't have any updates on positions. So what could be the major fundamental process that happens this week? What do you think would be moving the market this week? Bueller. How about typing a question mark? Yeah, thank you. Joseph says oil, maybe? Yeah. Yeah. If yes, Daniel puts it out there. There might be a calendar year end flow, in particular for tax purposes. So if someone needs to rebalance their portfolio or take profit on certain trades or even take losses on certain trades going, they want to, let's say they want to write off losses this year, maybe they get out of some trades before the calendar end, right? Before December 31st. And then maybe you want to take profit on some other trades January 1st or January 2nd, right? After the new year, because then you defer profits. Even though you're basically paying yourself now, you're going to defer to 2017 taxes, right? So April 2017. So there could be some, let's say, unusual moves in that case. In particular, people wanting to take their losses this year, right? So just consider just normal human nature or business nature of business kind of stuff. Andrew says Mexican peso trade coming up soon, and that has to do with repatriation. Yeah, okay. I think there's other things in the world that are probably overshadow that, but it might work. It could work. Right. And so you set it up and you wait, right, Andrew? So anyways, we can go back to this oil, and I zoom out here, and you can see that I've already identified the support and resistance. We did this, I don't know, last week or something, right? And look at this one. It's right where we are now. So if you were a bull on oil, you'd probably start looking for the retracement on a smaller time frame than an hour, but you would probably want to see a bounce kind of at this level if that's what you wanted to do. And you wouldn't be disappointed in a stochastics like that, right? And of course, if you're a bear, you were supposed to sell way up there at resistance. So what are you going to do now? Right? Where were you? Up here. Okay, so that's interesting, right? So it's just simply going from resistance back down to support. The next place for a bull would be obviously down in here. Now, anyone a bear on this would like to sell it, but can't sell it here? Anybody? Neutral? Well, let me share you my thought process. Anyways, if you're a bear, what you should do is take this area, drag it across. This is a 15-minute chart now. And ideally, you get a move like this. Okay. And you would use that setup and potentially maybe this setup. The same sort of thing. Okay. And what what I would want to see as a bear is basically work our way down to support. And then of course, maybe even lower, but that's your call. And you wouldn't be able to get that data on a 15-minute chart, right? So then you go back to the hourly chart and it would say, all right, look, it could go lower than this. So for example, on an hourly chart, let's say you get a quick half an hour and then down, it wouldn't change anything. This would just stay like that, right? But if you got down to this level of support, I would just say it has to go up. Of course, it doesn't have to do anything, but it needs a break. It would just have to do something, in my opinion. Okay. And so if this bounces and heads up, what will happen to CAD? If this retraces and drops, what will happen to CAD? Well, CAD will move. What do you want to do? CAD yen? I showed you the CAD yen short last week, and it hasn't done much, but it's done something. What do you want to trade? USD CAD, Euro CAD? I'm not really trading giant crosses, but I guess we'll start with USD CAD. What do you think of that? Now, I think the last time we looked at a trade here, we were supposed to kick off the 4-hour 21 up in here, if you remember. Only because it was there. I mean, that's why it's there, right? So what it did was there's a step down to the 55. Okay, not far off the mark here. And what does the 55 predict? Okay, yes, possible double top. So either CAD would be strong here, or US dollar weak, or both. All right, well, fine. I'm looking at the US dollar index, and if you're looking at a 4-hour chart, it's technically bearish. So funny how we're on that 2618, isn't it? Isn't that funny? That's the 2618 right there. Funny coincidence. Yeah, so did I just kill it? I hate when I do that. What I'm suggesting though is if the Canadian dollar's weak, I prefer to buy USD CAD. If the Canadian dollar is strong, CAD yen is the better one. Nothing predicts that, Joseph. Okay. So apparently that's the CAD yen setup that we talked about last week. Like I said, it started. You know, I wouldn't say that it's fulfilled its destiny, but it's retraced as we wanted it to into the sell zone, and then has just stopped. Right? So not bad, right? So the question is, what if you are a bull? I'd like to be above that gray zone, working my way north. Does that mean now? No. Could you? Yeah, okay, yeah, if you were desperate and you were the one that was going to reverse the entire market, then maybe you play this as support and you take a cycle up. That just seems desperate to me. That's just not attractive, you know? But someday that could be an interesting trade. But not today. Not today, my friends. I thought maybe I could add. No, I got one here. Let's do CAD Swissy. Neat little chart, huh? So on a weekly basis, it's bearish, isn't it? But what if it turns around? Long ways away from that yet, huh? So kind of something to keep your eye on. Okay. What do you think of that trend? That makes sense, right? How about that? Is that easier? Okay, Eurocad. Now, if you're a bear, this is a very interesting area. And just because it's above that, it's not. I mean, it's it's not a deal breaker. Clearly, someone's playing the 786. Now, does it bring comfort to you knowing that someone is playing the 786? Well, to me, what it says is the market is there, right? There's money there. There's people there. There's it's not just, a thin holiday. No one's even watching this pair. No, no, no. Someone's watching this. Okay. If it was a little bit higher, let's say it went way up to here, not much pip difference, but then I'd say, well, no one's really playing it. Maybe they see it as a top, something, yada, yada, yada. But someone definitely played the 786. Somebody is watching this with real money. I think that's interesting. So, WWWD, right? Oops. So, what you could be doing here is fib the retracement and look for a pattern like into your zone and then down. Okay. Typically, it looks like this. You kick off this bottom and bring that across. Capiche? Problem with that is you're buying Canadian dollars. And if that's not something you want to do, then you don't do it. Another thing, if you're a bull on this, you might want to look for this area. You see how that's an old resistance area? Okay, now go back into the hour. Maybe you combine it with this area, right? So you drag this across. You get a similar kind of idea this way. Okay. So like the general idea is, buying it now is probably not the greatest idea. But if you're a bull, maybe even just down to the hourly 21, right? So what if it does this? So my hope out of this whole thing is that US dollar gets strong, CAD stays weak, and USD CAD just goes up, and that's easy. Mixing into all these other crosses, I think, just complicates things a little bit. So the most interesting part of this chart here is this. All right, so let's mark that. And I think that's important after kind of looking at that methodology there. Okay. If you were looking at it in a bullish fashion, price basically came down. It wasn't a perfect 618, right? It wasn't a perfect 618, but let me kind of eyeball. This is the 618. So it came down, and it wasn't a 786, but it came down, had a nice retracement. Now, it was supposed to retrace in here and fall, which it did. So it could have easily continued down, right? But it didn't. And it's this part here, right? There's a 1, 2, 3 in here. So a bull did buy it here off the 382, and a bear did sell it here up high, which they were supposed to. Then it dropped, right? Bear took profit, came back. They resold it like they were supposed to. Came down in here, and then, hesitation, right? Then the high higher than that, that's a 1, 2, 3. So now you're supposed to take this. Oops, come on, that was supposed to be a different color. You're supposed to take this area here and drag that across. And if this is going to continue a rally upward, it's going to come down here, and then it's going to go up. Okay. And it turns north. That would be a euro yen long. Okay. And so it's sort of a higher low and then a 1, 2, 3. All right. Because again, if this was so bearish, this was supposed to make a lower low. The fact that it didn't suggests it's no longer bearish, right? And then you get the 1, 2, 3, and that's bullish at a place what used to be bearish, you know? So it's going to come down to this in here. If that acts as support, right, then it should be pretty interesting. Kiwi yen, we're still stuck in our spot, huh? Just waiting. Just waiting. Okay. So, like, is there a major setup going on here? No, it's trending up, but then we're also stuck in here. So it's a little bit of a trap. Is the Stokes on the 1 hour set up for you to long? No, not really. But boy, will I be relieved if we start getting above that gray zone, right? We're not quite there yet. Keep in mind, New Zealand has cut interest rates. So this is supposed to be tanking. Bollinger Bands? What? What about them? Yeah. Yeah, they're all Bollinger Bands. You don't like them? The compression before the explosion. Yeah, I guess so. You could look at it that way, right? I mean, one way you could look at the Bolly bands is that they seem to be more sideways than up, especially up here, right? This one's almost this way. So if you're playing it that way, hopefully it does break to the upside as we kind of get closer and closer to the apex. Or squishing, as Artem says. So to me, it just says it's good. I don't know if I want to take the risk yet. I'd like to see what happens at the next Kiwi, Bank of RBNZ meeting. But the plan that we've had for, I don't know, a month, maybe more than that, is this, right? So it's just wait. We're close. Take a look at Aussie. Again, nothing major set up yet. The thing that may be supportive here is this acting as a bottom, right? Price retraces, oops, and doesn't even challenge the downside. I mean, it didn't even come back down to here. I mean, if this was downtrend, it should be like that, right? So the fact that we're here and consolidating just kind of feels like, but remember, year end and stuff, don't get too excited. Right? But sometimes not falling is the beginning of up, but we'll see. Doesn't look like a huge amount of money pouring into this market by the end of the year, right? But this is what we're waiting for. So what I told you, I don't know, a month ago, I guess maybe even before Thanksgiving, I said sometimes this week at the end of the year can be great, and sometimes it's just nothing, absolutely nothing like that. And it just comes down to what people have done already. And if they need to move things because of things like taxes, right? If they need to move money or rebalance or whatever. So we don't really, but it's what, a 3-day trading week? It's enough. It's enough. There might be stuff there. And I'm also thinking about the rogue trader sitting at some big bank somewhere that's going to miss his 2015 bonus. So he's going to gamble the next 3 days, right? Try to get that year-end bonus. Why not? You're not going to make any money anyway, so you might as well gamble it, right? Maybe you'll get lucky and hit it big. They're going to fire you anyways, right? Marcia says, she expects movements on the euro and yen before year end. Well, that's why we got to be ready, right? But so if we're looking at this is Aussie yen. This is a pretty decent trade. We've had the Asian session, and we're halfway through the European session, and the New York session's about to open. So what do we have? Well, we've had that. That's prime time Australia, right? If you're looking at this from the point of view like who trades the Aussie, well, some Australians do, right? So we've had that prime time, but it was up, not down. Okay. London boys tried to do something, not much. What are the New York boys going to do? Maybe, right? Right. What are they going to do? Sell it low or buy it low? So that's why we're here. You can prepare for that. Maybe that's happening. Maybe it's not. Drop on a 15-minute chart. Again, not the world's greatest setup that I've ever seen, right? Like, oh my gosh, you just have to buy that. But if you were looking for it, at least you got time of day, right? But in these situations, because I never feel desperate to trade, I often try to set this up like a breakout strategy. So you could buy it low if you wanted to. To me, that doesn't seem like easy money. But what I would rather do is buy that, right? And be long here. And that might be tomorrow, might be the next day, right? So if it doesn't set up, I don't have to trade it. So that's coolio. All right. I'm going to identify an area to be cautious, right? And do you think anyone's playing 110? Defending it, I should say. So here's what I'd like to see, if you don't mind me thinking out loud. I'd like to see a failure to challenge that area. I want to see a reversal pattern. Okay? Because if I'm a bear, let me back out a bit here. I can be a bear. I'm cool with that. Is this bearish? Not yet. A couple of things that I use to make that determination. One is when the 21 EMA is above the 55 EMA, by definition, the market is bullish. It became bullish here on the 2155 crossover. Right? Still bullish. Still bullish. And currently, okay, still bullish. Now, the 21 is dropping toward the 55. So if you were drawing the MACD, right, you would have to draw the MACD falling back toward the waterline, but still above the waterline, right? So again, one thing that you should practice is drawing your MACD with a pen. understand your indicators, right? So anyways, it's still technically bullish. So where would you buy, Stuart? Yeah, that's why I drew this gray zone. That's a buy zone. Okay. In particular, if you caught that, that would be like perfect, I guess, if you want to look at it that way. So how about like 109.50 kind of thing? Also, if you were a bull, you were supposed to buy this. Okay. I mean, it's the central pivot point. It's a Fibonacci retracement. It's a lot of different things. That's already occurred. So now you're just kind of maybe catching this kind of area. Okay. And then I look at all these other things and, it's down here. But I think if we went down there to retest that, that's going to be pretty bad news for you because you've already had it. So anyways, so what I would like to see at this point, since that already created its higher high, I'd like to see even something like, like that. Does R3 predict S3? No. If you have an inside week, let's say, then R1 to S1 would be predictable, but there's nothing about an R3 S3. That'd be a pretty ridiculous day. They happen, but that'd be a pretty ridiculous day. So yeah, if you're a bull, there's your zone, man. Okay. If I were you, if I was a bull, I'd drop into the 1 minute and start looking for reversal patterns. Okay. Nice thing when I look at this is as a bear, you can't sell this down here, so you don't have to worry about it. This is it, the apocalypse. Oh, whoa. Did you guys have a nice holiday? Spent it learning. Yeah. How about me? Yeah, it's been great. Cooking in Johannesburg. Yeah. I bought for the first time I bought prime rib, right? Big rib roast. I'm more of a Chateaubriand guy, but I'm like, just the price was right and it looks so good. It was just a much better deal. So I bought this huge hunk of meat, giant bones. It looks like a brontosaurus, right? And it's huge, right? And I got family over, and filet mignon can be, let's say it's labor intensive, So anyways, so I get this rib roast, just put some oil on it, just covered it in a peppercorn thing that I made. Great. So rubbed all that on, stuck it in the oven for 3 or 4 hours at 200 degrees, very, very low, just enough to melt the fat. And that's it. Walked away. I don't know, 3, 4, 5 hours, whatever it was. Later, take it out of the oven, let it rest, put some vegetables in the oven, roasted those up in, I don't know, 45 minutes. Okay, great. Take the vegetables out, put the meat back in, crank it to the highest heat it can get for 15 minutes. Done. Like I didn't do anything. So basically, you just put it in the oven for 5 hours at 200 and walk away. It's like nothing. Oh, it was so good. It was awesome. Dan Wynn's watching all the old videos right on. Yeah. All right, so this is it. This is what you do. Sit and wait. If you're a bull, what could you wait for? A little double bottom, high would be cool. Or you could just take the 5-8 cross if that's what you want. And as a bear, do you see the setup? Ideally, it makes a 618. Doesn't have to, of course. But the sell zoning is here to here if you're a bear. Okay. Forex.Today, Antonio. Right. For example, these are all the most recent ones. Or here. Yeah, there was a recording error, Joseph, so that's it. It was a YouTube error. All right, so bulls have their 5-8 cross up. Now, for me, if I'm counter to the market, like I want this to go up, but technically everything here says down, then what I prefer to do is catch a reversal pattern. Okay. So, I'd be, let's say, instead of being in here, I'd like to be in here. Same price, a lot less risk associated with the trade, right? But in this case, the typical setup here is to sell. Okay. If you're a trend trader, you're going to be selling this because the trend is down. And like I said, anywhere between the 382 and 618. So like that might have been it right there. Somebody sold the 382. No, Artem, you don't wait for a reversal pattern in the direction of the trend. No. Reversals are for reversals. So typically what you would do, let's say if you're aggressive, you want to sell off the 382. If you're more conservative, you want to sell off the 618. And if you're in between, maybe just sell off the 50%. But the other thing you're looking at are like, what about things like, levels like that, psychological levels like key round numbers, which we don't have, that kind of stuff. And you just make an intuitive decision. Either way, your stop's going to be like, I don't know, let's say here. So whether you enter if you enter here or here or here, there's very little difference pip-wise. And your stop's always going to be the same. So it's just how you feel about it. Are you aggressively bearish or modestly bearish? Okay, bulls, right? Your bulls are looking for things like this. Right? Bears just basically want to ride this 21 down. Hey, Dan Nguyen, do you happen to be Vietnamese? Wasn't sure about the name. Yeah, I've been trying to, been educating my children on your home country. Been taking them to Vietnamese restaurants, and then I've been showing them pictures, and even my wife have been showing pictures of like how beautiful the country is, like the beaches, and then that you can go on these cruises and stuff. And so we're falling in love with the area, and so I'm hoping that the kids would want to go there. But Americans just don't know much about Vietnam, except there was a war there once. But here in America, people just go on like Disney cruises in the Caribbean. Like, really? Yeah. Well, the Vietnam War was a while ago, right? So, anyways, so you can imagine me with, I've taken my son, my wife, my daughter. We're out eating Vietnamese food. My kids are only what, 7 and 8, 8 and 9, something like that. So it's a completely new thing for them. All right, here we go. Whoop, whoop, whoop. Remember If you're a bull, if this pattern fails, that's a sign. And again, we're still looking for this idea like this, right? Yeah, they are beautiful countries. I was showing my kids pictures of Angkor Wat. I said, I want to go to Angkor Wat. All right, so we're just taking our time here with this setup. This is live. This is a 1 minute chart. We're right in the middle of the sell zone. You have an R1. You know, this could be, you know, if you're moderately bearish, this is your entry. And here, if you see a little bit of red like this, you probably take it. Your stop's still going to be up here. Your stop never really changes. It's a short-term trade for faux show. Okay. And then remember, if you're a bull, we identified this before the drop, that this gray zone is the buy zone. Okay. Just would have been a lot better earlier. So if you think we're going to break through this and work our way down, then that's what you're looking to do, is sell it off of this area here, right? So you'd be selling now, really. No, it's slow, guys, but it's real time. What am I supposed to do? Speed up time? Can you? Oh, I can do anything, Chris. Yeah, I'm the most powerful man in my universe. I might be completely insane and crazy. Every once in a while, I wonder, like, I could be this crazy person that sits in front of his desk all day, but, you know, it's all an illusion. I'm just crazy. There's no internet connection. I'm just sitting here talking to myself for hours every day. There's Crazy Wayne sitting in his office. So your euro yen coming down nicely. So it looks like a lot of these trades, they're all shorter term trades. On the longer run, there's not a lot of action on the longer run for most of the pairs that I'm looking at as I kind of look around my charts. Yeah, that's right, Alexander. You're right. I think I open up my book that way, don't I? Where I say, look, the one thing we have in common is we're all crazy. And it's true. If you asked 100 people, if you were just on a busy street corner somewhere, and you asked 100 people if they want to invest money in a business that 99.9% of the time loses money, they would say, are you crazy? But for us, somehow we're cool with it, right? So let's say only 95% failure rate, right? And somehow we're all here. I mean, we're the crazy ones. Hey, do you want to invest money into something that loses, that has a 95% failure rate? No. That's what a sane person would say, right? But the funny thing, if you're an entrepreneur, you think that there's a 5% success rate. And that's actually good. You're like, really? And if you're in the 5%, what do you win? And you're like, well, you win everything. Well, what's everything worth? Well, it's a $5 trillion a day business. Say what? I'll never forget when I ran into the quote. It was 2 trillion, I think. And it couldn't be right. I just remember that. I remember thinking there isn't that much money in the world. That can't be right. I'm like, even if it was 2 trillion a year, I'd be flabbergasted, but 2 trillion dollars a day is just stupid. What a stupid thing, right? I remember thinking it's like that, but it's so much money. I'm like, I don't know what this foreign exchange thing is, but I'll look into it because I know that you should go where the money is, right? So I just remember thinking like, there's no way, absolutely no way that the foreign exchange is $2 trillion a day. That's just stupid to even think it. Like, so I look it up. I'm like, is it 2 trillion a year? Because even that is beyond belief. No, turns out it was 2 trillion a day. Now it's $5 trillion a day. I get to keep the other 3 trillion. But I'm just saying it was worthy of my attention. And I never let go. I'm like a rabid dog. When I read that, that changed my life. Like, why am I a venture capitalist? What a loser. Trying to make 100 million bucks here sounds stupid now. How can I go back to 100 million? How pathetic. When I can have 2 trillion a day. Like 100 million, get chunks of corn in my crap bigger than that. It was just funny. I'm like, that's it. It changed my life. I'm like, I don't know what foreign exchange is, but at $2 trillion a day, I'm going to figure it out. All right. Starting to look better now, huh? And that's the trade, guys. Cool. So let's pull the plug. We'll call it a day. I'll see you tomorrow. We'll do a quickie tomorrow. We'll see if the markets move at all. Hopefully, today's session's good because if today's New York session really takes off, then it'll open the door for the rest of the week. Really, I'm hoping. Remember, bulls. If this turns north, it could be interesting. But typically, if I'm making a trade like this, I'll just throw down a 25-25 OCO, make the short, walk away. So, like, let's say an ultra conservative day, the average daily range is only what, 50 or 60 pips. Well, if you shorted here on a lower high, and if it stop at 25 above, limit 25 below, that's going to be, if you can catch that, we're talking about a whole daily range already, right? So anyways, peace on earth. May the pips be with you. May your profits be above average. I'll see you tomorrow.